Welcome back, fan stands, to the Week 3 finals between Cycling Aggro and Gyruda Reanimator. The cycling deck looks to play early creatures that gain a lot from cycling, and then you're able to close the game out with a huge Zenith Flare for massive damage. Meanwhile, the Reanimator deck seeks to fill its graveyard and then cheat out an early creature through Cabal Ritual or death from Life Death. Here is game 1. All right, we've got Alejandro on your left and Miguel on your right. Miguel will lead us off with a Misty Rainforest and pass the turn. So the cycling deck is definitely the beatdown here. They're trying to just play things quick and early before Miguel can get those huge potential threats into play. Though it doesn't mean that the cycling deck doesn't have a late game with Luris and these big Zenith Flares. So early, Miguel's going to want to stabilize, but then probably doesn't want the game to drag on too long if it can't disrupt those Zenith Flares. But both players just fetching, not doing too much. Turn 1. And Alejandro thinking about whether to cycle or not. Probably wants some sort of threat, but they don't have to cycle right away. And Miguel will fetch for an island here. Seems as though they've got a turn 2 play lined up. We'll see what that is. And it's a strategic planning. So they're going to look at the top 3, put one in hand and the others in the graveyard. Now, not only do you want to fill the yard with creatures so that you can reanimate them, but we've also got Cabal Ritual, which wants you to hit Threshold, or 7 cards in your library, to go from just being a ramp for 1 mana to a +3 on its mana. So Miguel will bin a Linvala and pass the turn. Alejandro just cycling. And for 2, we'll play this Dranth Stinger. Just a 2-mana 2/2, but it can also, whenever you cycle, ping your opponent for 1. Miguel will Tomb Scour themselves so that they can... now Threshold is online. Cabal Ritual. Miguel just needs to hit 1 more mana source so that they can cast this Gyruda from hand. Meanwhile, Alejandro will cycle, ping for 1. Cycle, ping for 1. And this is the general play pattern of the deck. Just cycling towards your Zenith Flares, getting a little bit of extra value along the way with your cheap creatures. So essentially 3 mana, draw 3 over the course of 3 cards, and deal 3 damage. Now we've got Life Death here. We're going to cast Death on Linvala to bring her in. Cast 6 life to do so, but Linvala will gain 5 life because Miguel has the lower life total. No angels because Alejandro only has 1 creature in play. If they had more, 3 creatures, then you'd be able to get that angel. But here we now have an additional threat in this Flourishing Fox. Alejandro realizes that this Dranith healer isn't as relevant. They need to deal the damage before Miguel gets these big things online. And we fetch for planes. And there's a temptation to probably kill that crab. It's the one that's putting more creatures in the bin. But instead, we'll just cycle some more. No go for the blood. Cycle away a discard spell. You want those cards in their hand, not in their yard. And a third cycle for more damage. Haven't found a Zenith Flare yet, but will eventually. So now Miguel is the one who feels pressured to get this thing done. They're taking a look at how many cycling cards are in Alejandro's graveyard, knowing how much damage they can reasonably take more, and it's not very much. Play a tap land and mill themselves for 3 with the crab. Yeah, can't really take too much damage. Gonna have to put Linval on the back. And Alejandro does find that Zenith Flare. I think it's for about 6 right now. But these blockers aren't existent. Gyro's Renunciation is going to tap them down. The great synergy between Hour of Devastation and Ikoria, them both having cycling and caring about it too. This will be 6 damage. Miguel doesn't have much to interact with it. Yeah, you're going to put out the Drenith Healer here. Maybe so you don't get blitzed by something crazy. Alejandro just playing it safe because at this point they've got it fairly locked up. You never know what a Reanimator player could do, especially this early in the season. We've got the Renunciation for next turn if Miguel somehow gains a bunch of life and the Zenith Flare isn't enough. Can get in for another big attack. That card really letting you get in for your tall foxes. And Miguel, right here, thinking about what's in their deck. Because you could Cabal Ritual into Insidious Dreams and then basically tutor whatever you need to on top. But we'll cast Gyruda off of our Cabal Ritual. Mill the top 4, put even cost creatures from both sides into play. Miguel doesn't hit, but the Vial of Manifestation from Alejandro does appear. But this isn't going to be enough, and Alejandro shows the Zenith Flare, and that's it. Moving on to game number 2. All right, game 2 here. Both players mulling to 6 yet again. And Miguel going to lead us off with Misty yet again. Both players fetching, achievement unlocked. This was very common in Season 7, and it's returned with Zendikar in Season 10. Doesn't matter too much when you decide to fetch, though Nimble Obstructionist does exist in this format. And maybe you want to bluff interaction if you can get an untapped land. Alejandro just cycling right away. Finds 2 Flourishing Foxes off the top, which when you're drawing extra cards every turn isn't too difficult to do. But we'll take a point off of Caves of Koilos and have 2 Foxes in play. Miguel casts Strategic Planning, finds their 3rd lands, and yeah. Cycle will grow the Flourishing Foxes. We've got all of our colors online now with this Battlefield Forge, but maybe we'll we'd rather play a tap land first, so just going to cycle. We do have a third fox available, but instead we're just going to go all in on what we've got now. And this is a huge chunk for 8 damage on turn 3. Miguel just hoping to draw anything off the top. Feeling that Champion of Wits isn't strong enough here. Going to mill Gyruda and then life death it out. So both players mill. Okay, so we get one of the Zenith Flares out of the way. That's big news for Miguel. Get an additional blocker. But these foxes are absolutely massive. And at this point, like, it feels bad, but you're going to have to chump block with Gyruda. And Miguel, realizing that they can't come back from it, is going to pack it up. Alejandro is our champion. Congratulations.